whoever can control food or land or water became the most powerful person, right? And automatically think about it, what's going to happen? The one who control have a tendency to be man, and automatically man as way to control half of the people. It's all automatically kind of like saying, because you are women, you could not do this, right? And after that, now building all this social hierarchy, meaning all these caste systems, right? Because you are this, you can't do this. Because you are this, you can't do this. And all that is kind of like allowing a little tiny group of people to be at the top. And those ones just became the one who are allowed to run everything, because somehow, right, for at first the notion of trying to control people, that later on they translate into social class, right? Then automatically anybody who's not part of that social class is eliminated. Anybody who's not a man is automatically eliminated. And then the power is in the hand of a little tiny groups. Now, you have some African societies in which women used to be the one playing the most important roles, right? And even in those societies, the change will happen with colonization. Because when Europeans come with their colonist mindset, coming from Europe, they were a heavily male-oriented society. Then when they come, even in places where women were the political leaders, women were the one making political decisions, these Europeans refused to have women as interlocutors. They look for men and male as interlocutors. In even African societies where women used to have some kind of like political power and social power or economic power, through the colonization system, they ended up losing those powers. And now think about it. All African countries, at the exception of Ethiopia, were colonized by Europeans. And Europeans come and with their whole new invented traditions, set up a whole new bunch of rules and laws in which man is in charge of the power. You see, man is in charge of the power. And automatically that's what happened. That's what led to the generalization of African men being in charge of the power in every single African country. Now, sadly, Western society, they believe, oh yeah, in Africa, man is exploiting women, That's part of African traditional beliefs, But they refuse to recognize it comes from Europe, because it was not something that was general in Africa, that was generalized in Africa. You used to have, yes, some African societies that are heavily male-oriented, right? But you used to have some African societies in which women were the one making the decisions and participating in the decision-making. You see, but the Europeans coming in, they are the one who unified the playing field on Africa and allowed African men everywhere in their colonies to become the one the deciding factor, the one making the decisions. That's kind of like what you see happen there.
Okay, now I'm just thinking, and what I'm thinking is this one. Because in every society, if there were to be war, the women and the children, it's just natural, they suffer more. Because, of course, the men go to fight, they die. The women, in most of the cases, they remain, so they suffer. They become the victim in most of the cases. So now I am thinking, what if women were to be in charge of key position in some society in Africa? I wanted to make comparison for me, because in many cases in Africa today, we have men in charge. I would say the whole system is fucked up. Fortunately, the African system is fucked up. Of course, maybe not in all the cases is the fault of the person that is there. Maybe the person that is there is somehow be remoted. Okay, maybe it's also because he's not capable of doing it. But at the end of the day, we see the result. The result is that the system is not working in most of the cases. Okay, now, if we were to have women in those positions, I'm just thinking, since the women are the ones that suffer more, is it possible that maybe we can have a better society, we can have a better government, we can have less corruption? I'm not saying that women cannot be corrupted. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying reasoning from the, I don't know, can we call it biology? I don't know. From the fact that women are sort of the builder of the society, they if you spoil it, you are going to be the one to suffer this more. Help me with this, please.
Okay, what I can say about that, I don't know how or what we can do to come to a point in Africa where women are in charge of these African countries. But what I can say is, if we look today, just for the COVID case, right? The countries that are run by women are doing better than countries that are run by men, right? And in terms of countries run by women today, in terms of well-being, when they were assessed, people seem to be happier than many countries, than the countries that are run by men. And especially, I'm talking about, look, the case of most of these Scandinavian countries that are run by women. Look, country like New Zealand, how they doing? You see what I'm saying, right? Now, maybe like you said, yes, we can say since African countries became independent to now, maybe we have less than 5 African countries in which the head of the state is a woman, right? And so far, Africa seems to not be going in the right direction, right? Now, like you said, maybe it might be a good idea to find a way to try to make a shift, right? To have African women in charge. But do you think African men and African male leaders or African politicians, in which most of them are men, do you think they're going to allow that kind of like shift to happen? Especially knowing that the way people do politics in Africa up to now, right? Do you think it's going to happen? Or it might take time to happen. But yes, so far we can say it without any doubt, most of the African presidents and leaders have failed Africans, and most of them so far have been men. What might be the solution? How can we say if we have African leaders being women might be better? That's a possibility. That's a possibility, but how are we going to get there? That's where the big question will be. You see?
All right, maybe we'll leave that to the audience to answer. But I have another question for you. The question is, of course, it's going to be about representation and more participation. If we cannot get, of course, I'm not saying, oh, all the men should vacate and give the power to women, but if we can get more participation, of course, that was my reflection was maybe we can have a change sometime. We might let's see the result, no, because we don't know what we don't know, no. Until we see it, we don't know what it is. Okay, having said that, from the point of view of leadership, what is even the explanation that there is a difference between a male leadership and a woman leadership? I can't even understand that. Can you help us?
I can't talk about that as expert, but what I believe, maybe women with the whole notion of motherhood, right? They might be more interested, or they seem to be more interested in taking care of the society as guardian of the society.